So this Tenno is Proto Ash. Oh, but what about Proto Garuda? So Devstream 195 has just ended, which means we got some things to talk about, so let's just jump right in. Of course, the big reveal from this Devstream was Warframe's next major update, which is called Jade Shadows Constellation, and it is arriving in June of this year. Now this is the sequel to the Jade Shadows quest, and it is going to show up, like I said, in June before TennoCon, and it continues the story of the Stalker, Jade, and of course their child, depending on what name you give it. Now at the end of the Jade Shadows quest, you get to choose a name, right? You get to choose the baby's name, either Sirius or Orion. And now that choice is coming back, but thankfully not in a way that maybe locks you out of picking whichever character you want. So if you chose Sirius as the name, you're not locked out of having Orion as a Warframe later down the road. DE made that clear that both Sirius and Orion will be playable Warframes in the future, regardless of what name you actually picked. So don't panic. Now, they showcased a new trailer, which you can see over on the Warframe YouTube channel if you want to, or I'll leave it linked in this video, made by The Lion, the same studio behind the Warframe 1999 animated trailer, and it uses music by the band Era, and the track is called Crawl Backwards Out of Heaven, and honestly, the trailer looks and sounds feckin' incredible. Very fast, very stylish, very anime, very much, I don't fully understand what the feck I'm looking at a lot of the time, although the third Orb Mother, did get absolutely obliterated. Now, the setup for the Jade Shadows Constellation update coming in June is basically this, that Sirius and Orion are two versions of the grown-up child of Stalker. One is green, one is red, and through eternalism, one of those futures has gone very, very badly. The son who was not chosen is lost to madness in a doomed reality, and now those future versions are coming back to capture Stalker or to try and bring him back to their timeline. So yes, Warframe has reached a point where fatherhood now includes alternate universal sons trying to kidnap their dad with the help of Protoframes as their mentor. Now, the names themselves, Sirius being green and I think Orion being red. The green one, Sirius, is tied to, I think it's tied to the brightest visible star in the night sky, and that's, I think, supposed to be something about hope and direction, so the chance that maybe Stalker can be redeemed. And Orion, the red one, is the hunter from Greek mythology, and that fits the Stalker a little bit more about vengeance, aggression, violence, and so on, so maybe the child will grow up just like daddy. But of course, Sirius and Orion aren't alone. Each of them has a mentor, and those mentors are two new Protoframes making their way into the game in June as well. The first one is Ryoko, the proto version of Ash, and Ryoko is loyal to Sirius, and he looks feckin' amazing. He has this kind of cyber corpus assassin style, but not quite like the corpus, if you know what I mean. Very kind of sharp, sleek, mechanical, and assassin-like, but he's also going to have his own character with Ryoko, the person, the human version. And when they showed him in game, the level of detail on his proto skin is absolutely nuts. There is an optional cowl, there is a very long ponytail, and overall he just looks very good. Then we've got Vina, the Protoframe version of Garuda. Now, Proto Garuda looks ridiculous as well in the best way possible. She is apparently very, very loyal to Orion, and DE have made it very clear that because she is obsessed with Orion, you can forget about having any kind of romance system with Proto Garuda or with Proto Ryoko either, so the Kim system, you can forget about that, but you can have them as crewmates on your Railjack as well if you want to. And just like Ryoko, she has a lot of very detailed parts to her proto skin. She gives off that full Blood Queen energy, long hair, sharp, I guess, claws, all of those red dangerous tones, not to mention the fact that she licks the blood off the blades, which you can also do with Nyx if you put her emote onto Nyx, and Nyx of course will be using her infested tongue. Now, like I said, Vina and Ryoko won't be romanceable, but they can become Railjack crew members, and you'll be able to earn contracts for them and assign them to roles on your Railjack. So you can't date them, but you can hire them. Now, for the last week or more, Rebecca has kind of been teasing Garuda lore, leading us to think a lot about who this might actually be and what might actually come of it. And now we're being told on the dev stream that apparently around where the third Orb Mother will be, might be a few fragments would allow us to learn more about Garuda and her lore, so make sure and look out for those once this update drops. Now, after the quest, the update is going to open up new Railjack content, so more Railjack is on the table. Once you finish the Jade Shadows Constellation, you'll unlock the Uranus Proxima, a new Railjack region, and there will also be a new Railjack hub called the Pontus Tower, where you'll be able to access new missions. Now, the missions are tied to Ryoko and Vina because both Sirius and Orion came back with their own ships from their timelines, and Ryoko's ship has this kind of green lighting that has very Ash styled future corpus look. And Venus ship is red, bloody, and absolutely looks like Garuda has decorated herself with the insides of as many enemies as she could possibly fit in there. Now, from what we could gather, the missions themselves sounded like you're going to be maybe boarding these ships and fighting your way through them based on these two characters. So it's not just Railjack for the sake of Railjack. It sounds like the post-quest content is directly tied into the story of these Protoframes and, of course, Sirius and Orion. Now, DE also said that even if you've neglected your Railjack, or maybe you don't have one properly built up, you'll still be able to take part and earn intrinsics and Railjack rewards. So hopefully this is not going to be one of those updates where half the player base can't do anything because they suddenly remember that the Railjack has been gathering dust for the last couple of months. Now, of course, we're going to learn a lot more about this update as it gets closer to it being released. But before the June update, before the Sirius and Orion make their way into the game, Operation Belly of the Beast is returning on May the 4th, and it's going to run right the way up until June the 1st. It comes back with returning rewards, with new rewards, with Archon shards, with clan-related rewards, and the timing obviously makes sense because Belly of the Beast is tied directly to Jade and Stalker, so basically having this right before the Jade Stalker Constellation update drops in June makes complete sense. Also on May the 4th, the TennoCon 2026 digital pack is going to go live for you to buy, which includes that Hunhow themed ephemera that we've been seeing for the last week or so because it was leaked a little bit early. It is a massive ephemera and it does look like it's going to restrict your view, but don't worry because they've also got a quality of life update change coming that's going to help us with views for, I guess, fashionable items that are going to restrict your ADS. Now, Mesa Heirloom, we also got another look at. After the previews reveal, players asked for a poncho or a duster, and DE have actually added one as an optional layer. So now Mesa, the Heirloom, has that extra gunslinger cover piece if you want to stick it on, which makes the skin feel more complete and maybe a little bit less goonery. There is also a cowboy hat signet that's coming with it that you can use on any Warframe, which means Fashion Frame for a lot of us is about to get kicked up another notch. You're going to see a lot of cowboy themed Warframes over the next couple of months. Maybe Cowboy Grendel is here to help. Now, this led us up to the Nidus rework or Nidus retouch. It is not a full rework, right? And honestly, that's a good call. He didn't need a complete rework. However, there is other frames that maybe a lot of you may be sitting back right now think, wait, why didn't Loki get one? Why didn't Limbo get one? Why didn't maybe Banshee get one? Nidus is the frame that they have chosen. Now, his passive is being improved to have more base health, more health regen, and a higher mutation stack cap. His normal stacks was around 100, now it's going to go up to 200, and if you have the abundant mutation augment, it's going to put it up to 300. His first ability, Virulence, is getting better pathing, which is great because right now it can sometimes get stuck on slopes or ramps and go through them and not up them. The spikes will also linger for a shorter time after they do the main hit, dealing smaller extra damage and helping you build stacks. And Teaming Virulence Augment is also getting a stronger critical chance bonus. His second ability, Larva, can now be recast. This is a big quality of life change. If Larva pulls enemies into a weird spot, or one enemy gets stuck somewhere awkward, like inside a wall, you can just recast it and hopefully pull that fecker right the way back out. The mutation stack chance from Larva is also going to scale with power strength, and the Larva Burst augment is being buffed to have more toxin stacks per enemy. Now, his third ability, Parasitic Link, is getting a lot smoother. The stack cost is being removed. It will have a short grace period before breaking if you move way too far from it. Targeting is being improved. You can link to free moving companions and specters, and recasting will allow you to swap targets instead of cancelling the ability, and holding the cast will cancel it manually if you want to do that. Now, his fourth ability, Ravenous, is also being improved. The ability range will now affect how far Ravenous goes, which apparently wasn't possible before because of old tech, which caused massive performance issues. And this will basically clear status effects when it heals. Nidus will get more health regen when standing on it, and the Maggot AI is being heavily improved as well. Maggots and their pods will also spawn faster, and DE have admitted that maggots were apparently broken at one point, so if your maggots felt a little bit useless, congratulations, they have fixed the AI of them and have improved them, so maybe now you'll be the maggot minion master that you always wanted to be. Now, overall, this is going to make Nidus more powerful than Nidus already is, right? So if you're someone who plays Banshee, Loki, Limbo, or any other number of frames that you felt needed a rework, tough shit, you're getting Nidus. Now, we got another look at the Dante Deluxe, officially called the Dante Titanus. This skin looks, again, absolutely fantastic. It has the owl kind of raven warlock kind of vibe going on with it. Big wings, really strange looking feet, kind of hoofs like a goat. He is coming, of course, with his deluxe Noctua skin and a matching Warframe skin as well, which looks like a lot of feathered blades. They also mentioned that the Baruuk Deluxe that was also shown on the last dev stream along with the Dante one, the Baruuk one, however, has now been delayed. So they're going to release it or show it off at a future dev stream or a future update, but it's not going to be part of the Jade Shadows Constellation update, which means we'll more than likely see it sometime after TennoCon. Now, we also have 5 new Incarnon weapons confirmed: the Ballistica, Distress, Vectis, Stug and Obex. And of course they also mentioned upcoming quality of life changes, like camera offsets are being added, which should help with large cosmetics that would block your aim. So if your shoulder or armor or wings are blocking your aim, your reticle, then you're going to be able to shift the camera a little bit to the side or drastically to the side, which will allow you to see what you're actually shooting at, which is feckin' huge, because there is one of those Cyandanas, I think the TennoCon one from last year, when it flares up, you can't see a damn thing. Knockdown is also being changed. Self-knockdown and enemy knockdown are being unified into one cleaner system so that you'll be able to recover faster simply by pressing jump or roll the minute you land from that knockdown, which means maybe you might not have to use prime sure-footed if you don't want to. Damage over time effects on enemies are getting a clearer, I guess, health bar feedback. So if you have slash, toxin, heat and so on of a dot on enemies, then the enemy bar is going to represent how much of that health that dot is going to eat away. Companion XP is also changing. Right now in game, if your companion kills something, it can steal affinity, even if it's already maxed rank. After the change, however, if you help to damage an enemy and then your companion gets the kill from it, you're going to get affinity shared between you and your companion, which means you're actually going to benefit from your companion getting kills, which prior to this, you feckin' didn't. There is also junction boss changes, which we didn't really learn about. There is 4 new arcanes coming, apparently 2 for Warframes, while also getting 1 primary and 1 secondary. There is also some talk about performance and visual changes for fashion in terms of dark metal tinting to make your fashions more, I guess, dramatic or more saturated on darker metals, so that when you put a color on it, it doesn't just go down to black and you lose whatever that color was. But that's pretty much the dev stream. Jade Shadows Constellation, the next major quest update, is coming in June. It continues the Stalker and Jade story with Sirius and Orion being grown-up future versions of their child from different universes, and they're being mentored by Proto Ash called Rework, Proto Garuda called Vina, and they're not romanceable, but they can join your Railjack crew. Railjack is getting new post-quest content on Uranus Proxima, where you board that Ash and, of course, that Garuda ships. There is the Dante Deluxe coming, there is the Nidus Retouch, there is the Belly of the Beast returning on May the 4th, there is Mesa Heirloom, now with a duster and a cowboy hat Signa, there is 5 new Incarnons including the Stug, which everyone's looking forward to, and there is a lot of quality of life performance changes coming as well. The next big dev stream, I think they said, is on May the 29th, and that will focus more on Sirius and Orion and showing us what their Warframes can actually do and how they actually play. But for now, consider me very interested in what this update is going to bring us with Sirius and Orion. Jade Shadows was already one of Warframe's most, I guess, personal quests, and the Constellation update looks like it's taking us another step in whatever that story is going to bring us. Either way, let me know what you think of the dev stream. Let me know what you think of, I guess, that trailer, that anime trailer with the Era rock song on the background. Let me know what you think of Sirius and Orion and everything else that we've seen on this dev stream, like Proto Ash and Proto Garuda. Have a great day, have a great weekend, and as always, thanks for watching.